Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. So here is the next section of our slow changes notes, and this one is on erosion. Okay, and who remembers what erosion is when I talk about it? Remember the moving, right? So the way to remember that is erosion moves, right? Everybody remember that? So it carries the weathered material away. Remember, it carries it, so it's moving it. Carries it away from a place. So I've got point A, right? Going down, so my river's flowing, right? To point B. Okay? So if I have these rocks up here, and my river is flowing my rocks are going to go from point A as the river flows. So point A as the river flows down to point B, right? So I'm moving from one point to the next. Good job. So our first one. And what is water again? I thought I heard it. I thought I heard somebody say agent. An agent of slow changes. Good. The next one is ice. And then we've got wind. And then erosion also involves plants. Right? So remember, wind, water, ice, and plants are involved in all three: weathering, erosion, and deposition. Good job. So when we have to worry about water, so this is moving water. So we're talking about rain. What else is moving water? Rivers, streams, okay, waves. Good job. Thought I heard somebody say that. Okay. So this moving water, okay, causes erosion. By carrying away so it's carrying away materials. Okay. So a prime example of that, we have this V-shaped valley, right? Just like the Grand Canyon. What's at the bottom of this V-shaped valley? A river. Good job. So I've got this river, right? This is actually the Colorado River. Okay. And when it rains, up here on these plateaus, where's that rain going to go? Good job. It's going to wash right down here. Right? And this river is going to keep moving, right? River's going to keep moving. And we got cracks here because these are really big rocks. And we might even have a tree or something growing out of the side. Okay. So this is the V-shaped valley. right? So this example is the Grand Canyon. So the Grand Canyon is a V-shaped valley. Okay? So water moves, takes all the stuff in it, and then it moves it to a new place. Okay? So when this rain comes down, remember when we were talking, I was going down my arm up in the air? Okay? So this water comes down and it washes all this stuff off the side into the river, right? And then the river takes it either way that it's flowing and takes it down the river to when the Colorado River meets the ocean. Okay. And then our next one is ice. So when ice moves, these are glaciers, remember? These are glaciers. And what happens is that ice scrapes away pebbles, rocks, and big old boulders, right? Huge. Huge boulders. Okay? So what happens, the ice, it kind of tears it up. So the ice breaks apart. So we got the weathering part going on, right? Breaks apart the land in front and pushes it. Pushes it with the glacier. Okay. So then what happens, it leaves behind a moraine, is what it's called. Okay, so it's this big, huge, so it's like a big, huge piece of rock. So you've got the glacier moving, and this is our U-shaped valley. So we've got this big, huge piece of ice, right, in here. Sorry about my phone. Huge piece of ice. This is our glacier, right? And as it moves, our glacier's moving this way. As it moves, it breaks apart these rocks right here. Okay? So then what happens, I have this moraine of broken rocks. Okay? So this here is our glacier rock. And remember, glaciers are what make the U. Shaped valleys. You remember that picture in your study guide? Right. That picture in your study guide shows exactly, that's a picture of a real U-shaped valley. I can't remember the name of the canyon, but it's there. Okay, and then the next one is our wind. And this is moving air, remember? Moving air. And so what this does is, you remember in the lab that we did when you were blowing through the straws onto the sand? Remember, it was only that top layer that went anywhere. So it was that really light stuff. So what this does is it moves light particles. Particles that aren't that heavy. Okay? Of rock, soil, sand especially. Okay? And this type of erosion, so wind erosion, depends on speed. Wind speed, remember wind speed. What's it measured with? What's it measured with? I heard it, wind speed. An anemometer, good job. Depends on the wind speed. and how long the wind blows. Okay? How long the wind blows. Now, we talked about sand dunes, right? And wind plays a major role in droughts also. When we have a drought going on, stuff gets lighter because there's no water to hold it down into the ground, so stuff gets lighter and it sits right on top of the ground. So when we have a drought going on, we have to be careful not to keep it there on top of the ground so that it doesn't blow away, especially in like our front yards and things like that. And so when wind, let's see, I guess I use the brown because it's blowing sand, right? So remember, we got wind blowing, and in this wind there's these little bitty particles of sand but then eventually the wind's going to stop, right? So then those particles of sand are just going to sit on top of each other. Okay, so we'll see this. So here's my erosion, right? And then the wind stops, and I've got my deposition, right? Okay. Then we have plants. Plants actually help in erosion. So what plants do is they decrease erosion. Because, the roots hold the soil in place. Okay, so if I have the soil, right, and then I decide to grow a plant, what do I have down here in the ground? Good job, I have roots. And then what happens? This soil gets attached to these roots, right? So what happens? The wind blows, the water comes, the ice gets in the way. These roots will hold that soil in there together. Okay, does that make sense? Awesome. So these are erosion notes. Remember, erosion moves. So what it's going to do is carry the weathered rocks out to a different place. So can I have weathering after I have erosion? Correct. I have to have the weathering. So I have to have the little bitty pieces before it's going to move anywhere, right? The pieces have to be small enough to be picked up and moved by wind, water, and ice, right? Awesome. Fantastic. So remember, slow changes: erosion, weathering, deposition, all caused by water, ice, wind, and plants. Either help or hinder. All right? So I hope y'all have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.